There is a creature living in the deepest, darkest parts of our ocean, and it has never seen sunlight, not once in its entire life. It hunts in total blackness, a kilometer below the surface, using a trick so bizarre that scientists refuse to believe it at first. And the question is this: how does something survive in a place where almost nothing else can? The answer is stranger than anything you could imagine. Most of our ocean is a place we know almost nothing about. Below 200 meters, sunlight disappears completely. The pressure down there would crush a car like a tin can. Temperatures hover just above freezing. Food is scarce, sometimes impossibly so. This is called the bathypelagic zone, the midnight zone, and it is, by almost every measure, one of the most hostile environments on Earth. The anglerfish lives here. Some species go even deeper, down to 2,000 meters or more. That is roughly the height of 6 Eiffel Towers stacked on top of each other, pushed straight into the ocean floor. And yet, down in that crushing, frozen, lightless world, the anglerfish doesn't just survive, it thrives. But to understand how, you first need to understand what this animal actually looks like. Because nothing prepares you for it. Imagine a mouth, just a massive, gaping mouth, studded with long, transparent, needle-like teeth that curve inward like fishhooks. Teeth so thin you can almost see through them. Behind that mouth is a body that looks like it was designed by something that hates beauty. Round, dark, gelatinous, roughly the size and shape of a football. And rising up from the top of its head like a built-in fishing rod is its most iconic feature. A long, bony spine with a glowing tip at the end. Scientists call it the Elysium and the Esker. You can just call it the lure. That lure glows because it is filled with bioluminescent bacteria, living light-producing microbes that the anglerfish has formed a partnership with. The fish cannot make the light itself. It relies on these microscopic passengers to do it. In the pitch-black deep sea, that tiny glowing dot is basically a neon sign. And whatever swims toward it, drawn in by curiosity, by the illusion of food, by pure instinct, is about to make the last mistake of its life. The jaws of an anglerfish can open wide enough to swallow prey twice its own size. Its stomach is expandable, almost like a balloon, which means it can take advantage of a meal whenever one comes along, no matter how large. In an environment where food is rare, wasting a single opportunity is not an option. The teeth, the lure, the expandable gut, every single feature of this animal is a solution to one core problem. How do you eat when you live in a desert? The anglerfish does not chase its prey. It barely moves at all. Instead, it hangs in the water column, almost completely still, and waits. The lure sways gently. Its glow pulses. To anything nearby, it looks like a tiny luminous creature drifting through the dark. An easy meal. Something worth investigating, and as soon as the prey gets close enough to make out anything at all in the dark, the anglerfish strikes. It is not graceful, it is not elegant. The mouth opens, the water rushes in, and the prey goes with it. The whole thing takes a fraction of a second, then the anglerfish goes back to waiting. Patient, still, invisible in the dark. This is ambush predation taken to its absolute extreme. No wasted energy, no failed chases, just a trap set perfectly in a place where the prey has almost no warning and nowhere to run. Now, here is where the anglerfish goes from frightening to genuinely unbelievable. Because everything we have talked about so far, that is only the female. The male anglerfish is tiny. We are talking about an animal roughly the size of your thumb, compared to a female that can be 20 times larger. For a long time, scientists who collected anglerfish specimens had no idea where the males were. They kept finding only females. Then in the early 20th century, researchers started noticing something strange. Some female specimens had small, parasitic-looking lumps attached to their bodies. They assumed it was a parasite, a worm maybe, something external feeding on the fish. It was the male. When a male anglerfish finds a female, he bites into her skin, and then he does not let go. Ever. His body begins to fuse with hers, blood vessels connecting, tissues merging until the two animals become, biologically, one organism. He loses his eyes, he loses most of his organs, he loses everything except the single function he now exists to perform. He becomes essentially a living sperm provider, permanently attached to the female, kept alive by her blood, contributing to reproduction whenever she is ready. One female can carry up to 6 males attached to her body at once. This is called sexual parasitism, and it exists because finding a mate in the absolute darkness of the deep ocean is so difficult, so unlikely, that once a male finds a female, letting go is a risk he cannot afford. There are more than 200 known species of anglerfish spread across the world's oceans. Not all of them live in the deep sea. Some are found in shallower coastal waters. Some are much smaller and far less dramatic-looking than their abyssal cousins. The frogfish, for example, is a type of anglerfish that sits on the seafloor in shallow tropical waters. It is a master of camouflage, looking almost exactly like a lump of coral or rock. It even walks. Using its fins like stubby legs, it stalks prey across the seafloor in one of the strangest forms of locomotion in the animal kingdom. But it is the deep-sea species that have captured the imagination of scientists and filmmakers alike, because they live in a world so alien, so extreme, that every time we manage to film one, it feels like a discovery from another planet. For most of human history, we only knew the anglerfish from dead specimens dragged up in research trawls. The pressure difference between the deep ocean and the surface destroys their bodies. They arrive looking nothing like they do in their natural habitat. The first time a living deep-sea anglerfish was filmed in the wild in its natural environment was remarkably recent. A remotely operated vehicle, diving thousands of meters down, caught it on camera, floating, motionless, lure glowing, exactly as it has hunted for millions of years, in the dark, completely undisturbed. It looked like something out of a nightmare. Scientists watching the footage described it as genuinely unsettling. This slow, ancient, perfectly adapted predator just hanging there in the black. And that is the thing about the anglerfish. It does not need to be dramatic. It does not need speed or power or size. It just needs the dark and a single glowing light and patience. So, how does something survive in a place where almost nothing else can? It becomes the darkness. It turns the absence of light into a weapon. It slows down, goes still, and lets the world come to it. It rewires its own reproduction so that finding a mate in an impossible environment is no longer a matter of luck. It is permanent. The anglerfish is not a monster. It is a masterpiece. Every terrifying feature, the teeth, the lure, the parasitic males, the expandable stomach, is a precise, elegant solution to one of the most extreme environments on Earth. Somewhere right now, a kilometer below the ocean's surface, one of these animals is hanging in the dark, waiting. Its light is glowing. Something is swimming toward it. And down there, in the silence, the anglerfish does what it has always done. Exactly what it was built to do. If you want more stories from the darkest, strangest corners of the natural world, subscribe. We post new videos every week. Next time, we are going underground, into the tunnels of a creature that has survived 5 mass extinctions and builds cities more complex than anything humans have made. You do not want to miss it.